I'd like to at this time introduce Lee Goggin for the introduction of the Alice report.
Good evening, everyone. Well, it was about a year ago that the board wrapped up an 18-month discussion about how we could better impact our community by focusing our efforts into some task. And so we decided that we wanted to focus on issues surrounding poverty, and we set a very bold goal, which was to help 10,000 more working families meet their basic needs by 2025. But one of the big questions we had was, how are we going to measure that? How are we going to track that? How are we going to know if we're making progress? And it was really very fortuitous that at the same time we were having our conversation, Rutgers University was having a conversation in New Jersey with United Way agencies there about something they called ALICE, a population of individuals that were asset limited, income constrained, and employed. And they had a very specific methodology. They went to groups in health, education, income, economics, and they said, what data do you have? What reports do you use in your daily operations? And because of that methodology, and when Michigan decided to follow that lead, in fact, we were one of the first states to follow that lead, Jane Johnson from our Department of Human Services and myself got invited to a steering committee, and that's the question they put to us. And of course, they said, we want to take all that data that's already there, and we want to bring about this composite picture. Go ahead and hit the next slide. This composite picture of this population. What are their needs? What are their challenges? How can we better understand them? And so it's through that composite picture that we then went and sat down with members of our community who are part of the ALICE population. We had focus groups all over all 3 counties, and they started to confirm a lot of what the data was telling us. When we asked them, how can we best help you? They said things like this: we need help with childcare. We need help with transportation. We need help with housing. These are individuals who are employed, who are working, who probably don't qualify for traditional assistance programs. And so we made a commitment. A year ago, we introduced ALICE to you, and today I want to let you know that we have a new ALICE report. The 2015 report came out earlier this month, and I want to share some of the data with you. So if you'll go 2 more slides over, please. Here's what we've seen since the 2012 report. We've seen that in Muskegon, and really, remember this, we're dealing with 3 population groups here. We're dealing with those who are living below the poverty level. We're dealing with those who meet the ALICE criteria, and then we're looking at a population that is above the ALICE threshold. And so the trend lines are positive, even after the first couple of years. In Muskegon County, you can see that we see 5% have moved above the poverty level into the ALICE threshold group, and 3% have moved from the ALICE threshold group into the safe zone. And then in Newaygo County, you see 2% have moved above the ALICE threshold, and 1% have moved above the poverty threshold. That represents about 3,000 households that have been positively impacted. How have we helped contribute to that? Well, a year ago, the board made a commitment of a $100,000 set aside for our Impact Council to then take and use that for specific programs that would advance this cause. And you saw what some of those new programs were earlier tonight. And there's no mistake, it's no accident rather that it's around transportation. It's around childcare. It's in those areas where the ALICE population told us that they needed help. So it's been an interesting first year. We'll be obviously continuing that hard work in the year ahead and the couple of years ahead, and we'll look forward to the 2019 report, where we'll have a chance to track even further how we are doing. And so with that, it now is my pleasure to introduce our President and CEO, Christine Robert, to come up and talk to you about how we're going to be doing that in the next year. So Christine.
Raffle item from Baker College. Can we let you draw that, Lee?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
That would be great. And this would be a free class next fall. And the lucky winner is number 312057. 312057. Okay, done. Everybody move at once. Do we have our winner? Taishan. Way to go, Taishan. One of my fellow board members. All right, thank you.
Well, you've seen me lots of times tonight, and hopefully you've seen me lots of times throughout the community. So wonderful to have you all here tonight. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time because I know we're getting closing on everybody's end of the night time, but just want to thank Lee for not only reporting, lending his expertise to the statewide committee that he and Jane served on. I hear all the time accolades from our state association around the state for the quality of the leadership in this community. We're very fortunate that we only have the quality, but we have people who will volunteer for this work. So you've already heard a lot about what we're doing, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, but one of the things you need to know is that we took to heart this aspiration that people of our 3-county region will have the educational and economic opportunities needed to succeed and thrive. And this partnership with all of you has been phenomenal. I think the greatest work we've done is just bring the report. Because as we presented it, my friends at ADEC, I remember the first person that we presented the report to, Terry Letterfinger was at the meeting, and right away the next month took and began putting the data to work and understanding the needs of the people who work in ADEC. So 6 months later, we'd already heard dramatic changes they've made to understand the needs and begin to put that into action. So I think it's so much more than what our programs can do. It's how other people are using this data to help them understand and do more. And so that's phenomenal. But our strategic framework, we talked about education. Our goal there is it's build a skilled and educated workforce and prepare our kids to fill the local demands for ever more technical and advanced jobs. And it's ALICE prevention work, if you will, if we let the kids know and help connect them. So that's key for us moving forward. And our work is going to dive deeper into, we've worked for the last decade on preschool, getting more kids in preschool. And it's one of the reasons why we saw the 10-point improvement is because we have more kids in preschool. We put tutors in schools and we're seeing phenomenal results. We moved them down into preschool, and now we're going to be expanding those tutors in preschool and getting kids ready for school so the teachers don't have as hard a job. So that 0 to 5 work is what we're going to be about in the next few years, but expanding the Dolly Parton Imagination Library to more kids in Muskegon and Oceana in the fall and soon Newaygo. Thanks to our friends at Nichols, we raised nearly $25,000 in new dollars through a match that they offered, which they are doubling. So we'll raise an additional $25,000 or $50,000 of impact because of their generous match. So our thanks to the Olthoffs for really helping being a part of our work in school readiness. And I will tell you that we're just shy of that goal. So we've extended that program, so if anyone has a strong belief in school readiness and United Way's role in that, you can help us by going online or seeing us after and make a pledge to help us finish up that match. Our income strategy is to continue to build a strong and self-sufficient families by focusing on employment readiness, like continuing to increase the students' youth employment program and stable employment advancement, which are key. And we're going to continue to be a barrier buster for ALICE. That, I think, is the work that we're doing with the employer resource networks. We really need you all to think about that. I know we have James Vandersalt here today, who's helped us bring the employer resource network into the community, but putting a coach in every one of our workplaces, instead of having employees go and seek help, basically there's a success coach right there to help. And helping all of us understand poverty better is another way, because we can all be better success coaches. We meet people every day. You are the volunteer arms. I see you helping people all the time. How do we better prepare us? So we'll be doing some work understanding poverty this year going forward. And then childcare. You've heard about childcare. It's the #1 issue that we hear about with so many young people starting their careers with 2-parent-headed households raising families and children. We know that we need to improve access to high quality care. So we'll be on that as a #1 goal for this year and probably for the next 5 until we get that right in all of our communities. Again, high quality child care centers will help us achieve our school readiness targets. They'll help us with our child health and safety targets, and making it affordable and accessible will also reduce the barriers for Alice, and so they can start focusing on their work and their family. In health, we're going to focus on resiliency for Alice and ensuring healthy and safe individuals and families. And again, as mentioned earlier, we're going to be updating these new partner programs and really bringing them on board and seeing what we can do with those supports in transportation and other resources. So far, the early indicators from those programs are pretty positive, and I look forward to getting the reports in a couple of weeks. At United Way, we unite to inspire change and build thriving communities. We talked about that. We fight for those in need of resources and support, and we give them a voice. We fight for seniors and youth in Alice and Muskegon, Newaygo, and Oceana County. As we premiere our 217 campaign video, we remind you that while we are starting to see real change for Alice and others in our community, there are still more battles to fight before our community can be considered truly thriving. So with that, let's see.
The ones nobody talks about at parties, the ones that can't be solved alone. We go looking for them in neighborhoods, in small towns, in cities, in our community. We find every dollar we can to tackle them, but we are more than the fundraisers. We are the hand raisers, the game changers, the stop talking, start doing, band together, and take on the impossible taskmasters. United, we lend a hand to the elderly, in Fremont and Pentwater. United, we stand up for children in Holton and Newaygo and Hardin. United, we battle for the homeless of Muskegon and White Cloud and Shelby. United, we confront the struggles of Alice, those who are asset limited, income constrained, employed. The working families throughout our community who are just barely getting by and never getting ahead. No matter the obstacles, no matter the odds, we surround our community's most critical problems, and we fight. We fight for Marcus and Keisha and John. We fight for Charlene. We fight for Alice. We fight for those who need a voice and those whose names we do not know. At United Way, we fight for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in our community. Because change doesn't happen alone. We must unite to inspire. Hope isn't a one-man band. It's a symphony. And there's no such thing as self-made. But we are all community-made. We each have one life. To live better, we must live united.
Thanks to our communications committee and certainly leadership by Jody Nichols and Chris Bernal in that work. Great video, guys. So just like the video said, we must live united. How will you live united this year? Will you be driven to give like Amanda and our community builder and Spirit of the Lakeshore companies? Will you advocate for change like Mary? Will you volunteer like our Community Impact and Youth Service Award winners? Maybe you will be the answer, and maybe you'll answer our call for everyday heroes. Maybe like Canon and CWC did this year, your company will increase your corporate match to dollar for dollar of employee giving. We look for those solutions this year and beyond to make sure that we can continue to expand programming that gets at these solutions. So thank you for celebrating 216 with us tonight. I hope you'll leave here inspired to join us as we unite to fight for Alice, for youth, for a thriving community for all of us in 217.